And it looks like it's World 3.
Yeah, looks like we're going to start with World 3 here. I see one fort and a lock already. Ooh, Classic already taking an early death.
Not a good start, but... Ooh, and Jabem takes a death too.
Yeah, so both these guys, it might just be the nerves, so they got to shake it off and get the race going. They're going to find themselves here, and I want to say this is 6-2 or 6-3. I could be wrong, though.
I believe this is 6-3.
6-3?
I think so, because I think 6-2 is an auto-scroll.
You're right, 6-2 is an auto-scroller.
Alright, they managed to get through it pretty well.
So now we find 3-7 with our first appearance of Boss Bass.
And just so everyone's aware, I put away my voodoo doll earlier today, so this is not because of me.
Oh, Classic's going with the hidden item here in the cloud, so he's going to do this auto-scroller, which will kind of cost him a little bit of time, but...
But with this... Ooh, and Jabem's going for it too.
Yeah, they're both going for it.
I mean, it is going to cost a little bit of time, but at the same time, getting an item this early on definitely can help in the long run.
Exactly. Especially when it's a fire flower. If they don't find any other fire flowers, that might be their weapon for Bowser, especially if they don't find the hammer suit as well. And here we're going to find a 6F3 to Carpet Fort. I particularly like this fort the more I play it. It is pretty challenging, but if you get the P-speed strats going, it's a lot of fun. Just as Classic is showing off here. Jabem having a little trouble here starting out. But he's going to grab that star and give him a little bit of boost here.
That'll definitely help him out.
So right now I'd say Classic is roughly about 8-9 seconds ahead right now, so
yep.
Not that much of a lead. We had a race earlier today between GamerCal and Raikou Rider, and that went to a third match, and between all three races, they were side by side for most of them. So,
ooh, and Jabem takes an unfortunate death.
And Classic here is finding the iceberg stage, as we like to call it. It is a beta stage here. There are 8 beta stages that were found while making the randomizer. So Fred made them capable to be beaten, and that's why they're here. So Jabem in the last room again before Boom Boom, as Classic's finishing up that stage. He's going to be moving on into the, well, 3-2. He's got 5 stages back to back here.
And 6-9.
Oh, tried him for that wall jump. It's tricky.
I actually couldn't remember if the wall jump was possible as Big Mario.
It is. It's but it's like a very precise pixel you got to grab.
Oh, he almost had it, and it looks like he's just gonna forego it.
I don't blame him. I usually give myself 3 or 4 tries, and then I'm done. I just got to go because at this point I'm gonna waste time trying to get it.
True. And admittedly, 6-9 in general isn't really that bad of a level compared to some other levels, like, say, 6-6.
Yeah. We're hoping we're not seeing 6-6. So Classic's finishing up his stage along with Jabem, so we're looking at roughly about a stage and a half difference. Classic's going to check this pipe here on the right. Let's see what he gets. Jabem's going to go for the clip. Doesn't get it. So we find the castle, but it does have a lock in front of it. So they need to defeat another fort, which, well, ironically is right there. Ooh, Classic's going to play 7-5 when there wasn't a route to go around. That's unusual for him.
Fortunately for Jabem, he's not able to get the clip either, so he's going to have to go through. Now, it's going to be interesting to see, because 7-5 I've noticed has been pretty trolly lately.
It has. It cost me quite a bit of time my recent race last weekend.
Seeing beetles, and I'm seeing the bombs. Not nearly as bad as usual.
That's true.
But there's our little friend, the Paragoomba.
Paragoomba is the true final boss of the SMB randomizer, so keep an eye out for them. So Jabem finished up his stage. He may avoid 7-5 altogether, so we'll find out here. Classic's going to go for a clip here. Gets it on the first try. Nicely done by him.
Very nice.
So ironically, as much as Classic played an extra stage, they are pretty much side by side now. Both heading into the same Hammer Brother fight. Gonna find a star. Well, not the best item, but we'll take it.
At the very least, it can help set up, depending on what the stages look like.
Yeah, and here we find the World 8 fort, Maze Fort, are, in my personal opinion, the best fort in the game.
I'd probably say second worst, personally.
Well, when it comes to these two, you're going to see some pretty cool strats here. So you're going to see a lot of the same people do the same thing, but with both of their capabilities and Mario 3, they're generally going to be pretty quick at this stage. Ooh, Classic taking 2 hits, though.
And it looks like he decided to forego the trying to go for the door in order to get a power. Oh!
Yeah, it looks like he's going to ignore the power-up.
My guess is maybe he was just checking to see if it would be a star.
Yeah, that's probably what I was thinking too. Jabem's going to go for both power-ups, so he will have the Tanuki Mario, the Tanuki Tail, sorry, and Classic's going to be heading on his way to Windy. So even while Classic did play 7-5, which was not necessary, this is still a pretty close race here, which is about, say, 10-15 seconds apart.
Yep. And it's the World 2 airship to start off, so not too bad.
Yeah, let's just see how Wendy behaves. She's tend to be a massive troll when it comes to it.
Let's see, does she go for the Baconator Special, or does she go for a salad? Something in between.
Let's see how many hits this is. 3. The Classic does take a hit. 4 hits. So she had a pretty big meal, but just nothing too heavy.
Filling, but not heavy.
So Classic is finishing up his fight as Jabem's getting into his fight with Wendy. Ooh, hitbox, come on.
And that right there is one of the biggest trolls of this whole game.
Yeah, the Koopling, ooh, unfortunately, Jabem takes the death.
That's the...
Yeah, the Kooplings are known for having some pretty wonky hitboxes here and there. Iggy and Ludwig are the worst, but Wendy's right behind him when it comes to that.
Definitely.
So here we're going to find World 7. Classic's going to head straight into the Desert Fort here.
Not a bad idea, because he knows that the first pipe... Well, he knows at the very least he's going to have to go through one of the other pipes. And given that there are only 2 forts in this entire world, probably best to knock this one out of the way, just in case.
I agree with you there. Yeah, I would have done the same thing. Go straight for the fort. If you see, 1 or 2 next to each other, just get them out of the way. You're kind of gambling by wasting time, but at the same time, it might help you out in the long run. It is a gamble, so it's kind of a 50-50.
Right, especially if it turns into a matter of having to backtrack all the way if you skip it the first time around.
Yeah. So right now, Jabem is heading into World 2, which is World 7, the pipe maze here. As Classic's going to have a choice here. He's going to pick 1 or 2. That's going to lead him to the Piranha Plant, which he's going to just skip with that nice screen transition. If you just hold down the right on the D-pad, you'll skip right over him.
Ooh, and he leads to the Troll Pipe, so he can see the final island, but he can't get to it from there.
Yeah, I think he's going to go back, play the Piranha stage, and try pipe number 2. Jabem's on the second half here of the World 2 fort. Or some people like to call it Morton Speedway or the Spike Fort, whichever you want to call it.
Ooh, and Classic gets a cloud.
That is a great item. The tricky thing about the cloud is knowing when to use it. Because I fell victim to that last week where I had a cloud in each of the seeds that I won that I didn't use. So you can't be too hesitant on that. Ooh, it looks like they're going to need to build a bridge here. So they're going to look back, find the other fort. Oh, that's a troll pipe there. Classic's going to head back, check the other pipe along with Jabem. He finds out that's not the pipe he wants. And let's see what this fort gives him. Hey, 7F2.
And this is what I consider the worst fort in the game.
I would say that's probably the communal agreement there, is that this is the worst fort in the game. Ooh, Classic taking an unusual death there.
And there, right there, is a good reason why.
Jabem's still trying to figure out where he needs to go here. I think he's going to figure it out. There he goes.
There we go. So I will say it will be interesting to see how well they remember how to get out of there and back to where they needed to go.
Exactly, yeah. It could be kind of a troll trying to figure out where to go, especially that's why it's called the pipe maze, because, well, you're going to get lost.
Well, thankfully, it looks like there's not nearly as many fire-spitting piranha plants as there normally are.
That's true. That can play a big part there. The two chompers there in the middle, the little pinch pipe, as I like to call it, that worked out just fine for them. So Classic still has the lead, but it's not by much. He had a huge lead, like probably about a stage and a half lead, and now it's back down to about 10-15 seconds. As we can tell tonight that the items aren't too abundant, but at the same time, neither are the power-ups. So they're going to have to struggle to keep their, Super Mario form or Fire, Leaf, whatever they got. They got to work to keep it. Oof, 7-9. The blue maze fort, or not fort, but blue maze.
Oh, and with a little baby bass, too.
Yeah, they're going to have to be smart about their movements here. So Jabem's gonna try and rock it out with the frog suit here. Classic's working to avoid the cheap. And you see his dead sprite there hanging out, but he'll be back within 5 seconds on the endgame timer. Ooh, Classic
and vengeance.
Yeah. Gotta watch out. That 5-second endgame timer, they'll come right back.
I do not blame Classic at all. Oh, is that 6-6?
6-5.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank goodness.
Still can be a troll. I've seen some people struggle with that one, so Classic is
definitely
now down without his cloud. As Jabem's ooh, and Jabem takes a death too at 7-9. So is he going to use his cloud as well? Oh no, he does not have a cloud.
Oh, he didn't go through the piranha plant.
That's true, he did not. That's going to be costly for Jabem here in this first race. As they're finishing up World 2, it's running around towards the 13-minute mark. This is two pretty long worlds to start out. As we've seen earlier today, all the seeds were done within 35 minutes. So we had some really fast seeds earlier today. And on this side, it looks like they're going to be some long ones. Classic trying to get rid of those fire chomps. They are just a nuisance. Honestly, those are my least favorite enemies in the game.
Oh, definitely. Not even just because of the way they could track after you, but also the lag that they create.
Yeah, especially when they show up with their sidekicks, the fire snakes.
Oh, yeah. That's... Honestly, whenever I see that in 7.5, I feel like that's even worse than dealing with boss bass.
Agreed. Classic heading his way, finishing up the piranha stage as Jabem's working his way through 6-5 here. Classic picking up a hammer. That could be useful coming up here with World 2 and 4 and 6 as well available.
That's true.
Here we got the World 6 airship for Classic. Gonna try for that clip. Doesn't get it, but one try, you're good enough. So Jabem's still not behind him. Roughly about, let's say, a stage, maybe a little less than that behind. So this is still a really close race. Let's see if Ludwig behaves with his hitbox. It's 2 hits.
Oh, it's a 5-hitter.
Ooh, he's definitely had his baconators. Ooh, and Classic misses the early grab, so unfortunately he won't be able to skip a few seconds there. Jabem nicely dodging those torches there. He's halfway through the World 6 airship. Classic reminding that ET needs the phone home. And he'll be heading into World 3. That will be World 4. So the big thing about that letter from Bowser, it actually contains an item. So that item could play a big part here depending on what he gave him.
It doesn't look like Classic took a second look yet, so we're currently in the dark.
Yeah, we're going to find 3F2 to flooded fort here. I find whenever I play this one, it tends to be the gatekeeper. So if this is the one, then Classic knows exactly what he needs to do. Either way, he's probably going to have to play both forts. So finishing up his boom boom fight, he'll find out what this fortress does for him. And Jabem heads his way into World 4. Unfortunately, that's not the fort, so looks like he's going to have to play the other one either way. So he did the right thing by checking it out. So
nice work for Classic of dodging the fireball.
Yeah, I'll be honest, most of us just take the hit and run at him.
Oh, it looks like Classic had a bit of a brain fart.
Yeah, it happens. So here he's got 4-5, and that's going to be 3-6 here. Generally, this is brought by Fire Snakes and Fire Chomps, so see that happening a lot more often with the randomizer.
Thankfully, with the auto-scrolling turned off, this level is a lot easier.
Exactly, yes. With the auto-scroller turned off, the stage is maybe 10-15 seconds long.
And we see the angry sun, but he can't do anything here.
Ooh, and Jabem avoids damage too in his fight. So they get that lovely music box, which, you know, you might see them here in the brackets. People have been using the music boxes a little bit more often.
Ooh, and this is another beta stage. I believe this is supposed to be a beta stage of 7.3, maybe?
That's correct, yeah. 7.3 beta stage.
I feel like Classic will definitely enjoy using the music box, because from what I've seen and heard from him, he definitely seems to be one of those that does not like to deal with the Hammer Brothers and collect items.
Yeah, he's a known dislike of the end card games, but then again, sometimes that makes or breaks your race. So as you see Jabem use the hammer there, he's going to skip the beta stage and head straight into Fort Knox.
Interesting, making up a decent bit of time off of that. And on top of that, he also has a tail, so he doesn't even have to go through this extra step.
Yep, they're both basically side by side here. Jabem's going to take a few second lead here with that hammer usage. But that might cost him come World 2, depending if they need it or not. Classic going with the statue kill there. And they got a straight shot to the castle.
And there we see it. Classic skips the Hammer Brothers entirely just to get straight into the airship. Which is, yeah, so I believe, World 4.
That is correct. So Jabem does get his hammer back. So we see a Fred here with the World 4 airship in World 4. And it looks like they're both going to be... So Classic is roughly still in the lead, but not by much, because Jabem did play those Hammer Bros, but that did give him his hammer back. So when World 2 or World 6 comes around, they can still be in play.
And another 5 hit. Oh, I didn't even... Interesting. I didn't even know you could turn left and right in statue mode.
I did not know that either, but now we do.
Huh.
I think most time in statue mode, I'm just like, don't get hit, don't get hit, don't get hit.
Exactly.
Get off my hitbox. So, all you people out there, a wild Tanuki appears. Command. So getting a mushroom from Peach. Looks like World 2 is coming up here. Pipe is worthless. So you see is there. It's not going to help them out at all. But Classic here finding 3-3 for his stage. He's going to take that hit to get rid of the suit so he can keep his P speed. And good job of keeping it even after falling in the water. Jabem not too far behind. So we've got a race here, folks. This is going to be a really good one. I think this is going to go down to the wire.
I believe so too. This is interesting. My only concern is that Jabem might get nailed by this cheap. Okay, he was able to avoid it.
He heard you. He's like, no, not today. No commentator's curse from him. Nice jump by Classic there, avoiding that first thwomp.
Classic. Unfortunately, you can shoot at fireballs all you want, but it won't make a difference.
That's true. He's going to take a hit there, so he'll lose his fire suit, as Jabem's going to be using some P-speed strats there with flying underneath. So while Jabem is falling a little bit behind, he is making up with it with some certain strats he's showing off. Classic takes down the fort. We don't know what that lock does, but I believe Classic does have a hammer, and he does. So that will give him basically one more stage and straight to the castle, which will be 3-8, the other water stage. I wouldn't say this is technically a boss bass stage, but with the randomizer, he doesn't quite show up at home as much as he used to.
And sneak attack Goomba Chew. Ooh.
So Jabem's going to use a P-Wing here. Unfortunately, I'd say roughly it's about the same amount of speed.
I'd say so too, but at least he's able to make sure he gets in without damage, because depending on what comes up after this, that might make a difference.
That's very true. So we got the World 3 airship here for Classic. Check this item. It's going to be a star, so he's going to use that to his advantage, get some speed, and run through some fire. He's going to be heading in to fight the saltiest of the Koopalings, Morton. Morton does have the Earthquake, so that's our first Earthquaker. And he's a 3-hitter, so Jabem's going to be coming into this fight as Classic will be falling back down to the Mushroom Kingdom. We got World 5 coming up. I'm thinking World 5's due. I think we're due for a Fred here.
I believe so. I hope so.
Classic got his hammer, I want to say at the beginning of the game, pretty early on. I think he got it from a Hammer Brother. So the king reminds Classic that he's gotten himself into another mess. He's going to get a nice Tanuki suit. Actually, World 5 is going to be World 6. And we got 3 of the 4 pipes in World 6 on the first screen. So looks like World 6 might be a long one. You got your wish there, Demon Battler.
Looks like it. Then again, we don't know where the 4th one is, so for all we know, it might lead straight to the end.
That's very true. Classic here heading into his fight with Boom Boom for the 4F2.
Ooh, Classic being a little gung-ho with that hitbox.
Well, if you know the guy, he loves living on the edge when it comes to that. He's going to check that first pipe. Let's see where that takes him. Takes him behind the rock, so not what you want to see. And we got a Hammer Brother that says, no thanks, I'm done. Punches out for the day. Classic's going to play the 6-6 stage, which is going to be 3-2. Going to ride the mushroom blocks for a while here.
Ooh, and Jabem in another, well, he was in another beta stage.
Yeah, the 5-3 beta. He's going to make the right choice by going to a different stage. The Classic still holding on to that like half a stage lead here. He's going to check that pipe, but then again, he might just play the fort. I think playing the forts is the strongest thing you can do right now. When this World 6, you don't know how many bridges are out in front of the castle. You don't know how many locks are going to block your way, so play them if you see them. It does find 6F1, so it's kind of a French vanilla here. It's in the right world, just not in the right spot. Jabem does the screen transition to avoid the coin chip. That's the smart move by him. He knows who he's facing and he knows what that one does. Does not like to play the stages.
Yep. Alright, Classic's through the fort. Once again, not 100% sure where it leads, but...
Yep, so here we're going to find 3, 4 if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Doing a good job holding on to that P-speed, making the stage look like it's nothing. Does have the fire suit, takes out the lucky 2. Nice shot.
So I didn't notice, did he end up checking the other pipe?
He didn't, but the other pipe would only save him a fortress, so he decided to play the fortress instead.
Ah.
So he's going to find 7-2. Without the tail, he's going to have to play this the long way, especially with Boss Bass hanging out.
Ooh, I was a little worried that the star was going to fade a little too early.
I was thinking the same thing. He might just come down here, let Boss spawn, and head back up top. So Jabem now catching up. He's still, like I said, just a stage behind. So
as long
is still
as
a really close race.
As long as Boss Bass doesn't snipe him. There we go.
He's gonna snipe Boss Bass so he doesn't get the privilege to. Ooh, Jabem taking a hit from the Fire Piranha. Now we got the 610 stage card coming up here. That's gonna be 7-7, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, 7-4. It's gonna be 7-4 instead.
Yet again, much easier without the auto-scrolling factor.
Oh yeah. I'll be honest, I love water stages because I feel like water stages are all up to the movement of the player.
Yep. Ooh, and Jabem gets nailed by another Paragoomba.
So he's gonna have to replay the stage. He's using the star here to kind of help him get started. As Classic's finished up 7-4. Jabem's still working on that stage. Just kind of surprised he didn't go down for the item.
I'm a little bit surprised by that too. Looks like he's gonna follow Classic's steps and get Boss Bass to spawn at the bottom part.
Indeed, as Classic finds another, looks like it's gonna be 6-4 here. This stage drives me nuts because of right here. Both the Fire Snake and the Fire Chomp slow you down so much. Jabem does get through 7-2 finally, and that's good. So still about, I want to say he's about a stage and a half, maybe 2 stages behind at this point, but don't count him out just yet. And there is a lock in front of the castle. So he's going to have to go back and play this final fort in World 6, which is 5F2, the Sky Fort. I think he's going to go for Jesus Clip here. No, he's not.
Well, I don't know if he actually went for it or if that was just a failed attempt to get on the pipe.
Maybe he was thinking of doing it and then decided not to mid-jump. I'll give him props for thinking about it. So now he's trying to decide which item's going to use. He's going to use his fire suit, which is kind of a surprise. Usually you would see the runners keep it.
Oh,
Ooh.
And he actually did go for it that time. Ooh, and Jabem managing to get into the pipe before the Cheep could get him.
So I think at this point, Classic's just going to have to play it safe and just play the stage. I like the tenacity and the aggression there to get a big lead out of it, but at this point, stick with what you got. Just go.
Right. And Jabem's in the 1.5 beta.
So he chose to play a different stage. Classic going for
unfortunately, Jabem played himself.
Oh, Classic went for the wrong entrance of the pipe there, so while he couldn't get the Jesus Clip, he did go for some other swag points. Jabem's still working through the 1.5 beta. As Classic now has the right of way to head on through, so we're roughly heading into the 30 minutes for this first seed. So this seed has been extremely trolly. We only have 2 worlds left. That's 1 and 5. We have yet to see World 1, and 1 can actually be kind of a troll too, so we got to watch out for those.
Yep.
Now he's using P-Speed strats here for the World 7 airship. Jabem finding out the bad news. He's got to go back and play another stage.
Ooh, Classic almost overshot. That would have been a sad moment right there.
Here's Lemmy Koopa. And luckily, Lemmy's kind of a pushover, so.
Just 3 hits, and Classic Gamer is able to get the ball rolling.
So Jabem's doing the number one thing I tell myself at this stage. Don't grab a power-up. Just go. Because if you run and keep your speed at a good pace, you don't have to worry about the fireballs from the ceiling. But if you stop for power-ups, that's when the stage gets to be a little troublesome.
And as the king points out, marriage, what brings us together today.
If you haven't seen Princess Bride, go watch it. Alright.
And ultimate troll.
Yeah, this is the biggest troll you could get from World 1. If there's not, there might be a worse one, but I'm pretty sure that's the worst you can see from it. So he finds 5-2 here. Jabem's still working on the World 7 airship here. And Classic's done with 5-2. Taking a top route, you rarely ever see anybody miss that, so when you do have to see the bottom route, I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with it, so...
I have had to do the bottom route a few times, and trust me, it is a lot harder.
I usually just take the death and replay it. Ooh, and here's Atlantis. One of the 2 auto-scrollers in the game. Looks like Classics is going to play it.
I don't think he has... yeah, I don't think he has a cloud still.
So this is going to be an interesting stage, considering. So he's got 2 blooper families there. He's got to watch out for those. You're going to see the gold cheeps here. Those are rare. You only see there's only a few of them, and that's just because of this beta stage.
Oh, there's the other one. Oh,
yep.
Fine.
So Classic, technically at the halfway point. This is one of the longest stages you can see.
Jabem getting the unfortunate news.
And with that Firefly, that should make Atlantis a very easy stage from here on out. You got 2 more pipes that push you down, but it gets a little trolly with the what their locations are. And 1 enemy blocking on left, the tiny cheap. That's okay. Classic gets through Atlantis, no issues there.
Ooh, and manages to dodge the dirty socks as well.
Oh, I'll be honest, this seed, people are asking if Jabem has a cloud. I don't think he does, and to be honest, I think it only has given out 1 or 2 clouds so far.
Ooh, Classic's in a hand stage now.
Yeah, the cheap hand stage. Let's see what this item gives, and why don't you tell him what happens with this item, Demon
So the interesting thing with the hands is that cloud too. Okay, so the interesting thing about the hand stages is that they're set to where all 3 hand stages will provide the same item. Meaning if either of these guys run into any of the other hand stages throughout the rest of this run, then at the end of it, they will receive another cloud.
That's very true. Classic here in 3-1 gets hit by the rocket, cheap as I like to call him. And Jabem's at the halfway point of Atlantis, so this is still roughly about a 2-stage lead. So now they'll finally play the fort for World 1. And Classic's doing the right thing. I think skipping it and going straight to the airship is the correct play there.
Definitely. Because you don't know what that fort can be, and quite honestly, there's very little point to it at this point.
Yeah. They have already played some of the trolley forts, like 7F2, the World 8 fort. Honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was the World 1 fort.
World 1 fort, or maybe the World 5 ground fort.
Exactly. So Classic's already done with that airship. He's heading right into World 7, which will be World 5. So World 5 has the potential to be easy or kind of a difficult stage, depending on what the routing requires.
Yep. Jabem getting a nice cloud for himself.
Finding himself in 3-1. He's got to watch out for that rocket cheap.
Ooh, interesting. So
it's a very straightforward map.
So for those who may be a little confused because there's no pipe on the left-hand side, basically what this implies is by finishing this, the Air Force, there will be a bridge that gets built to the other side. And they'll just have to take a pipe from that side on into the air.
Exactly.
Out of the bracket, I have to say too, out of the bracket flags, this is definitely one of the longer seeds I've seen.
Yeah,
and look at that, it actually is the World 1 air.
I was making a guess there because I've already seen a couple trolley stages, and one, the lock doesn't really block your way to the castle, so it only makes sense. Classic find himself in 2-2 here. Desert Oasis.
Oh, interesting. Jabem doesn't actually have a music box. I wonder if he never got one. Provided he's got a P-Wing, so it might actually come back to help him.
Gamer Cal, you're asking why are they 35 minutes and only in the World 7? This seed's been extremely trolly. A lot of long worlds. There's Classic with another hammer, but unfortunately they're kind of useless at this point.
Yep.
And honestly, I think Classic's doing the right thing by playing the Hammer Bros. It's faster than playing a stage, plus you get 2 items out of it. And another cloud there for Classic, so you'll probably see a use for that pretty soon. So there's only 2 more stages required for this world. So Classic gets a start from that Hammer Bro as Jabem's making his way into the World 5 here. Which is World 7. He's going to cloud over to the fort, I don't blame him, and put on a star and a Lakitu outfit for, well, 1-2.
And I don't even think this is a long enough level for the Angry Sun to be a problem either.
I don't think so either. I think it's going to happen right before he gets... Oh, there it is. It's a little earlier than I thought, but... With the hills, it doesn't really make it that much of a problem.
Ooh, and Jabem overshoots the pipe. Thankfully, there was still solid ground for him to land on.
Yeah, playing the Air Force stage there, so we won't be seeing that in World 8, that's for sure. And here's the World 1 airship. Classic's not even going to go for the power. He's going to go straight for Roy and take him down. And down goes Roy. So Jabem just a few stages behind. This Classic is on his way to World 8. So this is where it gets interesting because World 8, as we like to call it, is the great equalizer. It all depends on your routing and knowing what's in the world because you're either going to need 0 bridges or 3 bridges to build to Bowser. So my recommendation, if you're playing this, start counting locks the moment you see them. Did Peach just give him another cloud? Yes, she did. Classic finding himself in the Super Tanks level. This should be a pretty fast stage without that auto-scroller.
Fortunately, he doesn't have a fire flower, so we're not going to be seeing the patented Mr. Cab strat, which is just holding right and going forward, and you won't get hit by anything. So it turns out the fort that Classic skipped was the Navy. Unfortunately, I do not have the musical talents of Wolfman, so...
I don't either. So Classic there, I think, was taking an intentional death. He doesn't need to play that stage, which is the smart move. His life situation is pretty good, depending on how hand stages get a hold of him. So there's 1 lock, so he's going to have to play 8-2, which is, well, 1-6. Hey, and look at that, more fire chomps. Can you tell I don't like fire chomps?
Nobody likes fire chomps.
I see them far too often. So Jabem here, grabbing the fire suit, or fire flower to get the fire Mario, heading into Roy's fight. So far, I just saw one lock on Classic side, so depending on what the Air Force opened up for him, he finds 8-1. There's a pipe. This will probably lead him to the hand stage area. Yes. So you see the Navy and the fort. There's another lock, so my guess it's 1 or 2 bridges.
I believe this is the first fort in World 4.
Yeah, taking the top route. Nicely played by Classic there. He's playing cautiously yet still being aggressive with it. Nice jump there by him. Good pinch. Oh wow, gets past 2 hand stages twice. Wow, that's something you don't see very often.
That's
That
impressive.
one lock.
1 in 16 chance on that.
Yeah. So looks like Classic's gonna check that other lock, the pipe he didn't check before. Thing about World 8, know where your pipes go, folks. That's going to play a big part. So this either leads to Bowser or to the other side of that hand stage. Or leads straight to Bowser. So Classic is in go mode. He does not have a fire suit. He did have an anchor, but he didn't even check for that. So we could see the end of the first race right here. Jabem working his way through 4F1, struggling a little bit with trying to sneak up past that thwomp as Classic's working his way through the stairs. Gets the validation one up and the Everyman clip, so he's got just one more room till Bowser. Jabem, nice squeeze between the thwomp and the wall. And Classic is in Bowser's room, so as long as nothing terrible happens, he should take game 1. He is going to take that intentional hit there, as you see. Bowser's body doesn't have a hitbox. Jabem's playing through 1-3, one of the hand stages that Classic was able to skip over.
So, yeah, at this point, unless Classic gets a little too far forward and hits the fireball, he's pretty much got this on lock. So
and there it is. So Classic will take game 1. Give your GGs out for ClassicGamer88, taking the first of 3 races here at the bracket stage of the Super Mario 3 Randomizer tournament.
And with that, Classic Gamer finishes first with an official SRL time of 43 minutes and 7 seconds.
Some people might say, oh, that's kind of slow. No, for this seed, that's a pretty impressive time. That was a crazy seed as Jabem squeaking his way through the last part of 6-6 here. That looks like that was the other hand stage, unfortunately.
Nice. Ooh, and Jabem gets a boot to the face. Thankfully, he had a power-up to work with.
Jabem now figuring out he needs to go back to the front of the world to figure out where to go next.
Thankfully, he was able to at least bypass that other hand stage without a problem.
Well, looks like he clouded over 8-2.
Thankfully, he had 2 clouds on hand, so he was able to actually handle that easily.
Yes, and this should lead him where he needs to go. And I don't think Jabem, I think Jabem still has his anchor. Oh no, he does not.
Huh,
I did not happen to see what he used it for.
Me neither. Unless maybe he didn't get an anchor.
So Jabem working his way through Bowser's Fortress here, working on the steps. Gotta watch out for those disco waffles. They are randomized, so it's not the same as you would see in vanilla Mario 3.
You know, it actually just occurred to me. I wonder if there's a reason why the 1-up block that they use for the Everyman clip hasn't been randomized.
That's a good question. We'll have to bug Mr. F. Coughlin about that. With that, Jabem's into his Bowser fight. He's just got to be careful just a little bit. Don't get hit by these fireballs. And this fight should be pretty much a cakewalk from here. So folks, after this race, please stand by. We will be doing round number 2 of this, where Jabem is basically at a do or die. He needs to win to keep this fight alive against ClassicGamer88. So shortly after this race, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll be right back. So drop your GGs for Jabem there. He does finish with an SRL time of 46 minutes and 7 seconds.
And not surprising at all, in the IRC chat, both competitors are talking about how the seed was ridiculous.
Yeah, as we thought, the seed was pretty crazy overall for what we've seen so far. So let's give them a breather, and after that, we'll be right back, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second race between ClassicGamer88 and Jabem and the Super Mario 3 Randomizer Tournament bracket stage. Classic Gamer did take game one here from Jabem, so what do you think we're going to see in the second game, Demon Battler?
Hopefully a less trolly seed, but definitely I'm expecting a close race altogether on this
I
one.
think so. I was agreeing with you too. It looked like at the beginning the two of them were kind of shaky on their plays, but they really settled down halfway through the race and got into form. Besides, I forgot introductions. I am Gimp Extreme. This is Demon Battler, my co-com. We're excited to see what this race is going to bring you guys here. So, World 1 predictions?
I'm kind of feeling World 7.
World 7? I'm thinking World... I think we're going to see a vanilla World 1. Let's see if a World 1's going to show up. Jabem's mom says a World 4. Jabem's mom, how you doing? Good to see you again. We got a 5, got a 3, a 6, 2, a 3, and a 2. I like the World 2 guesses.
Of course, I am also hoping that Jabem takes this one so we go into game 3, but
you never know. You never know. I mean, earlier today, Riker beat GamerCal, and it looked like the way that first race went, GamerCal wasn't feeling too good, but then he came back and really stepped it up. So he came back and won both games. So Jabem has a chance to come back and win 2 races back to back. So let's see. Looks like they're getting ready to set up here, just working on a few more technical things. One thing I did notice that I'd seen how these two play before. Last seed they did take a couple silly deaths, but I don't think I'm going to see it this time around. I think they're all loosened up. The rust is off the wheels. I think they're good to go.
I think so too, which is going to make this even more interesting.
Indeed. So the racers did receive their countdown, and we're going to see World 1 coming up here in just a few moments.